You're listening to the Substation Gaming Podcast. I'm Lucas. With me, I have Black Chestnut
Hello.
and Ricola.
Yellow.
And today, we only got two topics, but they are very fruitful topics. We got the GTA remasters and more Elden Ring.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna get GTA remasters out of the way, and then we're gonna finish off the podcast with Elden Ring. So let's jump right into it.
Well, these remasters.
Yeah. Where do we even begin?
Oh, it's almost tragic.
Yeah, it's
Of a dumpster fire. Would that be a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
I think that's a safe word to say.
word?
It's a
Yeah.
So
It seems really rushed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of like slapped it together and threw it out the door.
It's weird. Yeah, it's like, did this game need to come out right now? It's not like this was like
Needed.
a huge release that they needed to push out. Like, no, Rockstar is
there's
rolling
like
cash.
there's no reason to shove out a product like this, especially when it's supposed to be a remaster trilogy. You know, it's like if it's not good, you know, you can just wait and fix it up and
Yeah.
make it good, or just scrap the whole project altogether. I'm sure they didn't spend that much money on this. You know, if they did, if it ended up being a lost cause, then, you know, it's not a big loss.
Yeah.
It's not something that like, oh, we have to release this no matter what, you know?
Yeah, because they're reusing a ton of assets for original game, but I believe they're AI upscaled aside from the character models. All the textures are just AI upscaled, which
Yeah.
leads
Yeah,
to a
that
lot of
seems about
weirdness.
right.
A lot of text is actually broken because of that. That wasn't perfect, but
Yeah.
You wanna-
Because they use like AI upscaling for a lot of stuff. A lot of details are lost because of that. You know? And they
Yeah.
just didn't seem to like go through it and, you know, actually make sure everything was good and address the issues when needed. You know?
Right.
I know. Yeah, like AI upscaling can look pretty good. Like I've seen some examples, like Final Fantasy IX background one is like incredible.
Yeah.
But you gotta comb through it to make sure it actually. You can't just completely leave it to the AI.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was probably just the AI like upscaler specifically was the issue, more so than the actual you know, the fact that they went with AI upscaling. It's more the way they did it.
Yeah, the specific, I don't know, algorithm they used or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
And just to add on to that, they may have like upscaled the AI and like made the graphics a little bit better, but I watched this video where this guy was like testing out certain things between both the old version and the new definitive version, specifically San Andreas. And
Yeah.
just one of like the small details, like the fire propagation in it, like the sounds are all off in the the new version.
Fire looks terrible.
And the fire looks terrible, and it spreads slower than the old version. And in the old version there was complaints about the fire spreading too slow because it's fire. and
it spreads even slower.
Yeah, it spreads even slower, and the sounds are off.
Logic changes are weird because I'm assuming they reused a lot of code. So like they're being like, because I know there are a lot of like bugs and stuff like that.
And then another thing, when you shoot the front of a car, like the front windshield in the old San Andreas, like you could see like it was really crappy like animation for the glass breaking, but you could see the fact that it would show the glass breaking. In this, you shoot the front windshield of a car, it just disappears.
Oh no.
Oh.
So it's like it almost downgrades. It feels like this is a downgrade with better. It's a downgrade.
Well, it definitely is a downgrade.
Gameplay wise, but as far as like quality, like appealing to the eye, it's slightly better. But that's
it's debatable if you like the specific style. I think the style it went for looks nice. You know,
some people
I could
like
definitely
the old
understand. You know, liking the visual style they went for with the remasters. I could understand that. I could also understand hating it.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I've seen some people in both camps. You know,
the visual style, I still like that cartoony look they went for, but it's still like actually not the game's out. As a whole, it looks really cheap. Kind
Yeah. Yeah, and especially with like certain character models missing so much with their textures and stuff.
yeah, like faces are just like blobs when you're still games. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I'd rather have flat textures in their face that are at least detailed than them just kind of being blobs.
yeah.
Right.
Like I think the biggest like upgrade this remaster has is that the lip animations are like they actually have like mouths and stuff.
Yeah, the original was janky.
Yeah,
I
so
re-
that's better. But other than that,
And the
and speaking
lighting,
of like bad particles and stuff, the rain particle effects are like
it's like a joke.
insanely bad.
Yeah.
It's like every raindrop is like at full bright.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like they're not affected by surrounding light or shadow, so you can't see a thing. It's just completely
just-
white rain that never moves. Just a particle effect in front of the camera. It's terrible.
Yeah,
And another thing which is actually hilarious, if anybody listening or you guys have a chance to go check it out, just look up the highway system in GTA. The cars literally come at you and don't stop. Like if you block the highway, like in the San Andreas GTAs, they would slow down and like beep
Yeah.
at you. In the new one, the cars just send it. There's no beeping. There's no
You know,
nothing.
I'm actually kind of fine with that. that's
Yeah.
that's actually hilarious.
It's so cringy. It's also hilarious.
San Andreas, by the way, all the races, half like the challenge races are at nighttime in the rain, so they're like unplayable now because of the rain. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Because like it's like once again the rain is so bad, you just can't see.
yeah,
Like
It's-
you literally cannot see what's going on.
I wonder if like people get this on the PC and they like lower the graphics or like lower the bloom or something. And then
yeah,
and then the
I
video
would
and then
better
and like that
graphics.
fixes like the problems.
Well, here's the thing. One of the things is that there's unlimited draw distance now. There's no fog, which unlimited draw distance would sound nice, except for the fact that you can see the entire map from one side. So you can see like the mountains from like the city on the other side of the map. It's like terrible because
Right.
there's no
Yeah.
fog. It's
And I imagine that all that draw distance has to affect frame rate to an extent because it's having the entire map loaded in all at the same time.
yeah, it's bizarre. There is
Yeah.
a cheat code from the original game that added like a ton of fog, and that cheat code still works, and it makes the game look nicer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
it's kind of like it's almost they add no fog and an unlimited distance to make it seem like it's going to look better, but I feel like it just looks more bland that way. Because there's no there's no
Like it
character
makes sense. It's one of those things where it's like on paper it
It
makes
makes
sense to be
sense.
like, oh yeah, get rid of the fog. You'll have unlimited draw distance. You'll see more. It's better. That because that was there for hardware limitations. But it's kind of like the same way that removing the fog in Silent Hill ruins the game.
Exactly. It's like
You
some
know?
games are meant to have that fog of war thing.
And in
Yeah,
GTA, it's
exactly.
not even that. It wasn't even that bad fog in the original. Like you wouldn't even notice it while you're playing. It's more just now that it's there, you can see like the edge of the map, so it looks
Yeah,
like
And
a
it
map.
it looks bad.
It's
like-
like I don't want to see where the water ends.
Right, you're not supposed to as the player. You're supposed to feel like you're in the game, not in just a enclosed box. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lighting as well is they made it look more realistic. So like on a technical level, it's better, but it looks kind of like San Andreas lighting, but like Vice City, which was like very stylized and like color lighting. Like you start the game and it's like pinks and oranges, like the sun sets.
Yeah, very neon
Yeah,
lighting esque.
and now it's just kind of it went really realistic. It's kind of boring.
It's not meant for this game.
Yeah, like
The way that the game was before, like those simple fog of war things, just as an example, is what makes the game.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's weird.
This year has not been a good year for like remasters and remakes and stuff.
Yeah, that's
It's been like a shockingly bad year.
What else was there besides Sonic Colors?
The Diamond and Pearl remakes
Yep.
as well.
Oh, yeah.
And those are
Yeah.
really fucking atrocious, honestly.
Let's not even get
I don't
into
even want to
that.
get into
Yeah.
it. It's just like I don't know what they were thinking with that.
But also another thing that's super buggy that I thought was hilarious with the rain as well, that correlates. I should have said this before. But if you fly in a jet or a plane, if you fly like at a certain speed going down, it looks like the skybox completely distorts and it like cuts the world in half, and then it looks like the rain isn't even moving. It's actually like super bad.
Another great glitch. If you go into first-person mode, which I believe wasn't in the original games, they just threw it in here because 5 had that. If you go to first-person mode and go into a vehicle and press the button to look behind you, it just shows your face. So your face just takes up the entire screen, which is hilarious. Like a chase scene.
That kind of makes sense.
I get what they did. That's just that they. For a first-person mode, they just put the camera in front of your character, and they didn't account for you pressing the button to look behind you on a vehicle.
Yeah. It's like I can understand if this game has some jank, like I could understand one remastering 3 games of this scale, is not easy. It's understandable that not every little bit of it's going to be perfect, especially when you consider that the original games themselves are not really perfect.
Yeah,
they have their jank moments too. They have their blemishes.
Like
So it's understandable if all of those blemishes don't get fixed, and it's understandable that some of them make it through to the remake. What's not as understandable as unacceptable is so many more additional ones being added on top of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And them being so egregiously bad. Like, if they were just kind of like, that kind of looks meh sometimes, it'd be one thing. But, like, sometimes it's, like, really fucking ugly. And the rain, and, like, I really want to emphasize, the rain especially, it's like, I don't even know how you would play like certain missions that are like always raining.
Yeah, borderline unplayable.
Like you can't see, like especially like driving missions where you're raining, it's raining, and it's like how the fuck are you gonna see anything? Especially when a lot of them are like at night.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a dark, it's raining. The rain effect is terrible. How the fuck are you gonna see like 5 inches ahead of you to not crash into a fucking tree and get wasted?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's shocking. Here's the thing. This got taken off of PC. I forgot if it was on. I forgot on Steam. It got taken off Steam. However, it turns out it wasn't
remasters or the originals.
Yeah, they took the remasters off just like today.
Okay. Are the originals back on then, or
I don't
are they
think
still
so, no.
gone?
I think they're still gone. However, they did not take it down because the games were janky. It turns out they accidentally just had music in the code that they didn't have the license for. That's the only reason.
Right. I do remember hearing that a couple of the licensed songs they couldn't get the rights back to. Like I know Billie Jean isn't in the game anymore.
Yeah.
It wasn't originally.
That's something I can forgive. Like music
yeah.
license. I mean, the Steam version was already missing a lot of songs that like the PS2 version had.
Yeah,
so,
it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I get it. It's licensed tracks. You can't always get them.
Right. Given what we got from these remasters, I wish they just had taken them. And this is speaking for all 3 of them. I wish they would have taken them, gave them better graphics, and left them with the same old problems they had before.
Don't worry, we still have all the old problems. Turbo Cop from GTA 3 is still there.
We have more problems now.
I know.
There's more things to worry about. I think that's
the really, really bad part. Like, going back to, like, remasters and remakes this year have been really, really bad. Talking back again on, like, Sonic Colors Ultimate, that was also a pretty bad remaster. And it was probably for a lot of the same reasons why this one ended up being bad. I can only imagine it's a matter of, the main publisher and stuff outsourcing the remaster development and stuff to a third party, and then just not giving them proper time.
The thing about Colors is that game, I get why they wanted it to come out this year really badly, because it's
that one has like a bit more of an excuse for being rushed. It's not really good, but I can understand why they wanted it out and why it didn't ended up getting finished and ended up being in the state it was. This one doesn't have an excuse, though,
Yeah, people are used to waiting like 100 years for Rockstar games. They go like 6 years between games.
And
Yeah,
GTA
but
5
plus,
is
like,
still
keep
doing
in
fine.
mind, they announced it and then released it within a month of each other.
Yeah,
If it
it's
wasn't done a month ago, you could have just not announced it. You didn't need to release it. You could have just kept working on it to make sure it was good. I
yeah,
think it really just they didn't bother to spend enough time in the quality assurance phase, you know?
yeah.
They were just like,
I
just better
think it
graphics.
probably got rushed, and I feel really bad for the people who had to work on the remasters because I'm sure that they knew a lot of these issues were here, and I'm sure a lot of them were like telling management and stuff about, hey, don't you think we maybe need to address this? These
Yeah.
really aren't ready yet. And they're just like, no, get it out, put it out, we don't care. And
Yeah.
that really sucks, and I really feel bad for them because they're gonna get put all the blame for it, and it really isn't their fault. I can't even blame anyone who actually worked on this and made this
Who's the
fault.
publisher? I don't believe it's. I believe Rockstar's the developer. Is it? It's Take Two owns GTA, right? I'm
Yeah,
trying
I
to
don't think Rockstar did. It might have
Yeah,
been
this
a
was a
team,
separate.
and it was probably like a separate. I mean, I'm not
This is
sure who
I
did it
forgot
exactly.
what I can't remember the exact dev off the top of my head, but yes,
Here,
I
let
know.
me Google it really quick, just
Okay.
so I know.
But hopefully this is patchable. How playable is Sonic Colors now on Switch? Did they ever patch that up? Because that game's issue was mainly like memory leaks and stuff. So like once those were fixed, the game should like work a lot better than it does. Um,
Yeah, I never got around to doing Sonic Colors.
yeah, I didn't buy it because I was like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Sonic Colors is just emulate it on Dolphin, and it plays better and looks better, and
It does.
everything. So why bother buying the remaster?
I know. I mean, I'd like having like an official re-release and stuff. That's nice, but if it was good, I'd buy it.
Yeah,
I'm
but
like Googling the developer, and I can't seem to find a name.
Hmm.
So maybe it was just a team at Rockstar, but it was like, one of their,
Yeah, small
you
thing.
know,
Yeah.
just
I don't know.
random teams.
But
Whatever.
Either way,
It's a bit of a mess.
yeah,
I feel
like,
bad for the people who had to work on this, especially because because a lot of times it's not really the developer's fault that stuff like this happens, and then they get sacked with all the blame, and it looks bad on their careers and their portfolio and shit. And I hate when that happens.
yeah.
Oh yeah, what was it like recently? The developers of Avengers, the publisher, just like completely blamed that game failing on them. On
Yeah.
completely edited devs, but it's like no, that game has many other reasons. That game.
Oh yeah, Square Enix told fucking I don't even remember the developer's names, but they told them it's just like make this game shit.
Yeah, like all like
That's effectively what they said because they were like make sure it has like loot boxes and live service
in a
elements
single player game.
in this Avengers game, and that's effectively saying make sure this game is doo dog shit.
It's so weird because I was expecting that game to like rip off Spider-Man because of how big of a hit Spider-Man was, and then it's just kind of shit. And I'm not blaming devs at all for that. I think that game's totally finished for what it is, aside from the agreeable grunt scene.
Yeah, that game is like bad conceptually.
Yeah,
like none of the developers working on it did a bad job. That game's badness is entirely to be blamed on management at Square Enix.
Square Enix is really weird when it comes to their Western devs. Like they like the Tomb Raider games as well. Like they just like want them to be like these mega hit when it's like it's never gonna happen again. Like they treat their Western series like they have Call of Duty or something when they're all kind of niche.
Yeah. It's really weird. I mean, Square Enix is just like a whole other bag of worms, but they definitely share some problems that Rockstar also has.
Yeah, most publishers. Well, I think this was Take Two. Rockstar's just a dev, so I'm never gonna.
That's true.
Yeah, Take Two's shitty.
Yeah, Take-Two's definitely worse. I don't even think Rockstar is like that bad. I think they're pretty good, even if I don't care for a lot of their games. That's mostly just me personally. You
Yeah.
know, like I don't really play a lot of Rockstar games. I don't think they're bad by any means. I just I'm like, I don't have time for this. You
Yeah.
know,
I don't got a
it's
time to
like
play GTA 5.
it's like I don't have time to play Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
You know, like that's how I really feel about a lot of them. It's just like I don't think any of their games are bad. I think they make great games. I just I can't. I was like, I'm not that interested, and I don't have the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but they do also only release games like every like 6 years. So I guess you can just like you got a lot of time to
Yeah.
get around to them.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, no. It's just like because I'm not like looking at other Rockstar games, comparing them to each other. I'm comparing them to the rest of the video game
Oh
landscape
yeah,
and being like,
exactly.
oh, there's like these 20 other games I want to play and stuff. I don't have time to invest in like 100 hours into this one because I want to play. Because I'm more interested in getting through my JRPG backlog, you know, that
Yeah.
all are also 100-hour games.
Yeah, I get you. So I hope
Um,
this remaster gets patched because I would just like to, for example, just play like San Andreas on Switch. That'd be nice. I
oh
hope this
yeah,
patch should just be playable.
yeah. I mean, they definitely. I do remember seeing them saying that, like, the developers were saying that they promise updates and fixes, which is another thing of like, it's so annoying to see because it's like, yeah, everybody involved in this, like making of this, knew it wasn't ready. Like I can guarantee that
Yeah.
pretty much everybody knew that like the issues were there, and they needed to be addressed, and they couldn't address them
Yeah.
because 2K and potentially Rockstar and stuff were like, get it out now for some reason. I mean,
Yeah.
the reason is money, but it's also a dumb reason because it's like,
They don't need it right now.
if you release a bad product, people are gonna demand refunds and shit.
Well, it's not even. This wasn't even exactly a holiday release because it wasn't a Black Friday release.
Yeah.
So, like, if they just wanted to like sell a ton of copies before people realized it was like broken, you would release it on Black Friday when like a ton of people would buy it.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
released it like a few weeks before that, so it's like,
Yeah. I
Why-
think plus
yeah.
after like so many games within the last few years releasing in similar states, I think people have become a lot more wary of stuff like this and a lot more skeptical
I thought
of
this
a
has
lot
been
of
an
products.
issue for ages. For like, I'd say since PS3 era, like broken, unfinished games that need to be patched. Like, since patching has become a thing, unfinished games have been coming out.
That's true, but it's definitely been getting worse
Yeah.
with like this, the Santa Colors Ultimate was again, Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah.
Cyberpunk especially.
That game is one that one got delayed like for over like 10 years though, so I understand why that one was released in a broken state. At least that one was like, shit, we can't keep delaying this, we have to release it eventually, this isn't going to be fixed.
Yeah. And like I do remember seeing a lot of people comparing this GTA remaster to Cyberpunk. And in a lot of ways, the GTA remaster is way worse.
Yeah.
Because like with Cyberpunk, they promised the moon and back. There was so many promises that they made throughout the years that they just didn't keep. That
Yeah.
like a ton of stuff that they said will definitely be in the game was not in the game at
And I
launch.
get why that game's broken because of that, because they
Yeah, because they were trying to make an ultra mega super game and they just were not capable of that. And so Cyberpunk kind of came out half baked, in a lot of ways, still a great game.
yeah.
In another lot of ways, a terrible game. Cyberpunk's like a really unique case of a game that's both awesome and amazing and absolutely terrible all at the same time. And
Yeah.
both are 100% true.
When this is a remaster of a PS2 game from like over 15 years ago.
Exactly. So
It's
this one, it's like it doesn't really have like an excuse of ambition or anything like that. This is the least ambitious thing you could possibly do.
Like, damn, this is worse than like the iPhone ports of these games.
In fact, actually, I think that's another reason why they were so bad is because I remember hearing that they were based off the iPhone ports.
Well, the thing is, the
And that's
iPhone
why a
ports
lot of the problems
aren't
that
bad.
arose.
iPhone ports are actually like better than the Steam versions. They're
Yeah.
kind of they're weird like that.
That's
But-
probably why they base it off of, but I can also imagine that basing it off of the iOS ports and then putting it back on like PC and consoles
Oh yeah, that's just
will fuck it up, you know?
yeah. Oh yeah, that definitely. Yeah, that's probably because I think those are the most recent ports. So
Yeah.
that would add up. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But,
tragic.
got anything else we want to say on these?
Yeah, no. I hope they patch them. Maybe I'll eventually buy them if they're ever like look playable.
Right. Yeah, I think we've pretty much talked on every point that everybody else is saying.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. If you guys thought we missed anything, just say something in the comments if you're listening back to this on YouTube.
Yeah,
But let's move on to a more eventful topic.
Yeah.
yeah.
So we got Elden Ring, and so now
The
what
network test has happened.
Yes.
I think there might be 1 or 2 days left of the network test, but we've seen most of them have gone through now. And none of us got in it, sadly.
Oh well.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, all we're going to be able to do is talk about what other people were doing in the network test.
Right.
Yep.
But there's still a ton of news and information that
There's-
dropped through this, and there's a lot to talk about, really.
Yeah, there's so much. I don't know where we should start.
Let's just
Yeah.
start about how gorgeous it looks.
It looks nice.
Yeah, it
It's
looks
still
really good. I like the fact that it reminds me of Dark Souls with the whole scenery of stuff.
Yeah.
it still
Even-
It
feels
does
good.
really feel like a more high fantasy version of Dark Souls.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Which I'm not.
Where
I have no problem.
Dark
with.
Souls is very much you're walking through like a dead world, you know,
Yeah.
where it's just like you're basically walking through the remnants of a world that once was alive and now is no longer. You know, this
Yeah.
one, the world is still very much alive and is still very much kicking. It's just in a very chaotic state currently.
Yeah, just very, very shitty right now.
Yeah, it feels much more like you're kind of going through like Middle Earth at its like most treacherous point,
Yeah.
you know, sort of
Yeah.
like
just throw some more Berserk in there as well, because this is still a
Yeah.
first game.
I think the Berserk level is perfect in this mode. The random encounters with the enemies, there's like swarms of them,
yeah, they're creepy. They're
Yeah.
freaky.
and they look undead. So like that factor of like the undead feel of it, like a
I
dead
think
world.
the thing. Yeah, well, I mean, like that's definitely the case for Dark Souls because their enemies are undead, but in this one they're very much not undead.
You think so?
It still
No,
feels,
they're definitely
a lot
alive.
of them still feel
Some of them are kind of zombie dudes.
gross and
There's
zombie.
definitely undead enemies,
wrinkly.
but a lot of the
everyone's
guys you're
wrinkly.
fighting aren't.
Right.
Like the dudes in armor are much so not.
Okay.
Everyone's kind of shrivelly, you know?
Yeah, they got that. They got that.
They're not as
hollow look.
shrivelly as they were in like Dark Souls, though.
Yeah,
that's
everyone
a-
still needs some moisturizer.
Yeah, they use some
It's
moisture.
not like Bloodborne where like everyone is like soaking wet.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah,
in Bloodborne is like goopy.
Yeah, everyone in like Dark Souls is a raisin. Everyone in Bloodborne is like
A grape.
A grape.
Yeah.
Yes.
a very juicy grape
The blood started
that you
to
can
be.
pop and grape juice spills everywhere.
Yes.
And so Elden Ring,
Somewhere in between.
somewhere in between. It's like a tree.
Yes, Elden Ring does, which works because there's a big yellow tree
Yeah.
when you go into the area that was called like a ligma or something. That looked like the opening area was called like Limgard.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of like the beginning stuff and stuff, the first NPC you meet in the game, he's like, "You're maidenless. Go and die in a ditch somewhere." He literally calls you a virgin and then tells you to go die in a ditch.
Incredible. Glad that the dialogue is still top notch. Wonder if they still only have like 2 voice actors.
Maybe.
I like
The
the.
NPCs
Go ahead.
seem a lot more common in this. Like, there seems to be a lot.
I
I'm
like-
sure if some of them were moved into the area because of the network test, a few of them got relocated.
Possibly. This
But,
is
yeah.
open world too, so you gotta have more scale and stuff to find actually.
Yeah.
What
What were
one
you
thing?
saying, Lucas?
Yeah, I was gonna say one thing that like really I loved about this when I saw it was the sacred points or sacred grace points, like
Yeah.
essentially the bonfires of this game.
Hmm.
I liked all the little mini sub menus they have now. It's not just a matter of like traveling and
Yeah,
with
there's a
those.
lot more you can actually do at a specific grace point.
Yeah, like you can level up, you can learn about the actual grace points, you can travel, you can pass time by like
Yeah.
spending time at the grace point. And I know there was
Yeah.
a couple other things, but I liked that simple little addition of like a bunch of features to do at the grace points cuz like really all they are is just a point, like a save point.
Yeah, they're a checkpoint.
But now they add more value to it.
More to do.
Definitely. I think that's also important to note how much more you can do in the grace points compared to, like, say, Dark Souls 3.
Right.
They brought back leveling up at grace points because how it works is once you hit like the third one, you'll get a maiden and then you can level up with her. But how it works is that you will go to a grace point and then she'll come at every grace point and then you can like level
You
up
text
with her.
her and she comes by.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, so you get to have the cool level up maiden from all the other Souls games, but the awesomeness of Dark Souls 1 of being able to level up at any bonfire, you know?
Oh yeah, that's something that's needed for an open world game like this, honestly.
Yes.
Oh,
most
definitely. But speaking of like being able to like wait and stuff at the rest points, there's a day and night cycle. And that actually adds a lot because like certain enemies will only be active night and stuff like that.
I liked that as well. Just
Yeah.
because like it adds variety to like you can add double the amount of mobs, I guess you can say, in the world at a given time because you have to worry about adding specific daytime mobs and nighttime mobs now. So there's more.
Yeah, I am curious about the day and night stuff. There wasn't
Like I imagined that like maybe some encampments you can fight, like the guards will be asleep at night.
Yeah,
that
You
was-
know?
I noticed that the stealth feature in this game is a lot more prominent.
Which
Yeah,
is
They
hilarious.
added a lot more stealth elements from Sekiro.
You
Which is
being in a
really
big
funny if
suit
you're
of
wearing
armor
heavy
crouching
armor.
around.
Yeah.
You're wearing like Smo's armor with a big hammer, like sneaking up on people and just
Yeah, but
backstabbing, crushing them. It's gonna be hilarious.
it makes a thief game playthrough a little more possible now, though.
Oh, definitely.
Oh,
I
they
like
were
that.
totally possible in 3. It's just that the thief gameplay was using spook and never interacting with an enemy.
Yeah,
but
that
not-
was the main problem with like doing stealth in Dark Souls. Is that you have to use the stealth magic spells, or wear the stealth rings.
Because levels are very cramped in Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Even if you use stealth, you're not necessarily going to get a huge advantage if you want to actually fight enemies.
Yeah, but using stealth is a lot more viable in this, and I feel like the big emphasis of Elden Ring's core gameplay design is build variety and build viability.
Okay.
In this, I think they really want
Variety
to make
and
sure
quality.
that every build is viable and that every build feels unique and each one's have their own unique gameplay elements. Like shields got a big buff. They're now a lot better than they were in 3.
Yep.
And on top of that, they got a new move where if you block an attack with your shield, if you press R2 immediately after, you'll immediately do like a special attack that does like extra posture damage and also bonus damage as well.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So blocking with your shield is much more viable than it was in say 3, where shields were really weak.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I haven't. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't seen too much. I've just seen probably up to the second boss worth of gameplay.
Mhm.
Is there a crafting system in this game?
There is.
Yes, but it's only really for like like the crappy items you have in Dark Souls, like your throwing daggers or like fire bombs, like little
Yeah,
stuff. that you
it's
don't use
more
that
so
often.
for your consumable items that you would inherently just buy from like shopkeepers. You can now craft them out of materials you gather throughout the world, which I kind of really like the idea of doing that because it saves you from needing, because it means like since you can craft them, it means you're probably going to want to use them more because now you don't have to waste souls and shit buying them.
A lot of those items
You know?
will be more useful if they're more of a stealth focus as well. Like half those items like are mostly for like either getting aggro or distracting enemies, like a lot of consumables in Dark Souls, but they're kind of useless
But
because
Yeah,
well,
but the
a
fact
lot
that
of
you can like gather like materials to get like the weapon buffs, like
oh yeah,
the pine
yeah,
resins and stuff, you can do that with crafting.
and
yeah.
now I was just thinking
So
like they
yeah,
probably added that incorporated that with the day and night cycle. Like, let's say for instance, if you want to craft a poison bomb or something, you have to get these poison berries that only spawn at night under this certain
Oh
tree.
yeah, there probably will be certain stuff that only like spawns like day and night. I mean,
yeah,
Which
like or
that's
like certain types of animals that only come out at
yeah.
night, and you need their like materials or whatever.
You need a bat's wing or something, or an owl's
Yeah,
beak
I
or
mean,
whatever.
speaking of bats and stuff, I know there's like these big vampire bat enemies in the game that are more aggressive at nighttime.
Right. Which that alone is just simple quality of life things that make a game good.
yeah, little touches.
Like little
Yeah.
touches like that, like a day and night cycle, little features that incorporate into that day and night cycle. The bonfires. Like
Yeah,
like
and
before
like
go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, but speaking of which, because like you were mentioning before about how bonfires have a lot more like to do with them with the grace points, I think that really will help emphasize how more important they are because they added a new form of respawn points as well. That you can't do anything at them. I'm pretty sure you can't like rest at them or anything. But if you like die, you have the option to respawn at them. And they're usually placed like near bosses at the end of like dungeons and stuff.
So it's like a middle point.
I was curious about that because they showed the other video that like killing certain bosses will spawn a grace point. So I was wondering, like, are there going to be respawn points near bosses though when you keep dying to them already? So what's the point?
Well,
like,
the guy I was watching, he had a spawn point right next to the boss because he died like 10 times in a row.
oh yeah,
So
yeah, of course.
so he literally was just going right from the spawn point to the boss. Spawn point
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the
that
boss.
was why I was wondering, like, what's the point of having like grace points spawn after bosses if there's going to be a checkpoint nearby? But if they have these like smaller checkpoints for bosses, that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
It's not every boss will drop a grace point. It's just some will.
I think
Yeah,
I think
I'm
it's just the
wondering
major
why.
bosses because there are some bosses that have like a little cutscene, but they're not
Yeah.
considered main boss.
Yeah,
Like the Crystal Lizard for instance in Dark Souls 3. That's a boss technically. It's a mini
Yeah,
boss.
It's more like it's more of a mini boss. It's just kind of a tough enemy that doesn't respawn, which would count as a mini boss.
yeah.
And there's
But-
definitely enemies like that in Elden Ring.
Yes.
But the thing is, they also have like just kind of optional bosses that are scattered across the world. Like
They'll
there's
chase
this
you
one
through the
boss.
a whole nother. Okay.
Yeah. So like, for example, the enemy in the picture we have up on stream right now, that's just a regular enemy. That's not even a boss or a mini boss. That's just a guy. You can fight him.
He's just
And there's probably
jacked.
tons of them. Yeah. He's just a regular enemy. But for example, there's like dungeons and stuff you can find. Like you can find like a cave entrance and stuff, and there would be like a mini dungeon where you're going through a cave, and at the end of the cave is a boss, and then killing that boss will reward you with like unique loot. Like a lot of the bosses in the network tests and stuff rewarded you with arts of war, which what those are they're the weapon arts effectively from like Dark Souls 3 and stuff,
Okay.
but they're not tied to a specific weapon. You can now put them on any compatible weapon.
And you can use stuff.
Yeah, but like for example, certain special weapons and stuff, like the really fancy like boss weapons or like special unique weapons and stuff, will have unique weapon arts that can't be swapped out and can't be applied to other weapons and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, so we talked about the horseback combat and how nutty that looks.
No, we have not. Let's
We haven't
since
talked
since you
about it.
mentioned that, jump right in, Ricola.
Oh well, you could pretty much do everything like on a horseback, from magic to sword fighting to bows, and it's nuts. Just like how like fast and like freeform it looks.
It does remind me of that Sekiro vibe with the horseback combat.
I haven't played.
Sekiro didn't have horse combat.
Oh, I'm
but I think
thinking
you
of-
fought a few enemies on a horse though.
I might be thinking of something else then.
There was like 3 samurai Dark Souls Z games that came out like around the same time for some reason. That was like Neo, Sekiro, and wasn't there another one? Ghost of Tsushima came out like the same
Oh
year.
yeah.
We had like 3 like samurai games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you
I
might be
guess
thinking of like Ghost of Tsushima or something like that.
yeah.
I think I might be actually thinking of Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. I mean, like the horseback combat, I can't imagine it's that much different than say Twilight Princess. But
Twilight
I'm sure it's like
Princess.
more complicated and like better, you know?
Twilight Princess was kind of simple. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. To go over the horseback combat and stuff, it's like you can do like a light attack and a strong attack. And when you're on horse, so if you hit R1, it will do a light attack on your right. If you hit L1, it will be a light attack on your left. Same thing, and then there's the strong attacks for like R2 and R1, and a lot of those will have like drag moves where you'll drag your like sword or whatever across the ground and stuff like that, and
Which
it'll
is
the
sick.
hitbox will be active, so you can just run through hordes of enemies and hit all of them with a long attack animation and stuff like that.
Which is so cool.
And like you can joust with like a lance and stuff.
Yeah, you could also parry other if enemies are on horseback and attack you. You can parry it and just fling them off their own horse,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did
and
see
then you
that.
can immediately stab them, which is hilarious.
Yeah, but you got to be careful because you can also get knocked off your horse, and if you do, the get up animation is like really long, and you're vulnerable for the whole thing.
Yeah, so fun.
But the
Uh,
horse itself has a double jump, and that alone allows you to just get in crazy locations and do
Horse
crazy ways to explore
platforming
the
is going to be
world.
hilarious. um, yeah, having a jump button in a game like this feels so weird. Like,
Yeah, it's really good.
It's going to be cool.
Also, it's worth noting you can't swim.
Okay,
If you jump in water, you'll sink
I didn't pick up
immediately.
on that. Interesting. That's
Yeah.
fair with how much freaking armor you're wearing usually.
Yeah.
So
It makes sense to immediately sink when you're wearing heavy armor. It doesn't make sense when your guy is like naked, though.
You like Sonic.
Yeah, that's fair. Like it makes sense in Dark Souls that nobody can swim.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just makes sense that hollows would sink.
You think hollows would be like less dense because they're all wrinkly. I don't know.
Eh,
No, it's all the darkness in them that makes them sink. That's it. There we go.
yeah.
could we jump a little bit into the skill galleries that you can get? Well, technically skills.
Like weapon arts, or like
Yes.
we're talking about.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
talked
what
about
like
that a
magic?
little bit.
Well, just the different kinds of like the actual.
Oh, we didn't go. Yeah, we didn't say
Yeah.
specific arts.
So I saw only a couple, but apparently there's 22 weapon arts that were in the network test, and those are obtained from both base equipment and the Ashes of War.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I saw the
Right,
carrying
because like I said before, like everything has a default weapon art, and then you could apply an Ash of War on top of that if you wanted.
Right. So this guy that I was watching, he had gotten it's effectively just like that magical sword weapon art from Dark Souls where your sword just becomes blue and like you slash with it.
Right, like the Soul Greatsword.
Yes,
spell.
the Soul Greatsword, sorry. But you can charge it up. So like the more you charge it up, the more powerful it gets.
Yes.
So you're just gonna
That's
get
actually
super greedy every time and just get hits while you're
Yeah.
charging it.
That's actually something worth noting is that I'm pretty sure almost everything can be charged now.
Yeah, that's
Like all magic and stuff can be charged to have a greater effect. They're either like chargeable or they're like multicastable, where you can like press the like magic spell multiple times
Yeah.
to like get additional effects on top of it.
Speaking of that magic, there was some wacky ones in there. I think I saw some like blood magic at one point when I was watching footage.
Yeah, there was
Yeah,
definitely I know
there's
one or two blood spells in there.
Bloodblade is one
He
of
just started
them.
like stabbing himself.
Yeah, there was like a thorn spell where you would stab yourself, you'd lose health, and then there'd be like an AoE around you.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the Bloodblade
Dark
weapon
Knight
art.
builds.
I think it takes I think it gets stronger the lower the health you are because
Oh, that's cool.
it takes the blood and it forms it into blades that are fired quickly at your enemy.
Yeah, it's like you use it with the dagger dagger weapon. I
Yep.
remember seeing that.
Yeah, that one looked freaking cool because
So yeah, we can do Dark Knight builds now. It's gonna be
yeah.
awesome.
because wasn't there a weapon that like it did more damage the lower the health you were on and it was like a katana?
I Sounds familiar.
Wasn't it that in Dark Souls 3, wasn't it like the first area after you fight them, like the first boss, and if you peel off left instead of going to where the bonfire is, there's that blind dude with the katana, and doesn't his
no, that's not that. You're thinking of a different weapon. There is a katana in Dark Souls 3 that had like a weapon art where you would stab yourself and then you'd lose health and then you would make the katana stronger. It would buff it.
Okay.
But there was another weapon in Dark Souls 3 that effectively gave you a red tearstone ring effect where if you had low health, you would get a damage boost.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So man, that's been so long since I played 3.
But yeah, this one definitely goes off of your missing health because it uses the blood, and I'm pretty sure the way it works is like the lower the health, the more blood like blades form, and the more that they fire.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
So
because it looked like you used it multiple times in the footage. Yeah, and it looked like it had more stuff. So yeah, that makes sense.
Another thing was cool. The last one that really stood out to me because I haven't seen all of them obviously, but they added like skills that you can add to I think shields as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
There definitely was a few.
There's one.
Shields as well.
There's one called Viper Bite, which I thought it was kind of interesting because.
Yeah, that one is like a special one that's specifically tied to that shield.
Oh, okay.
It's like a special snake shield. Like you can't put it on other shields, but it's for that shield specifically, and you can't change the weapon art for that shield. But what it was is that it was like a snake shield. The shield was like a coiled snake. And then when you use the weapon art, the snake uncoils and becomes alive, and then you like lunge it at an enemies, and it will bite them and like poison them and stuff.
So you can use this for your Lucas from Mother 3 cosplay build.
Yeah.
I hope it scales of damage so I can use this.
That's funny because there's like a meteor spell and stuff in this game.
Oh, great.
And all the magic is like star based. So you can literally just do PK Starstorm.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm doing my Lucas cosplay build. It's gonna be hilarious.
They have a they have one called Gravitas, which you pierce the ground with your ornament to damage foes as a surge of gravity draws them in.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that one. That one's really cool.
So it's like you become gravity itself, and then you explode.
So how did the summoning work again? I didn't completely pick it up on it.
The enemy summoning or the co-op summoning?
Enemy
summoning. Okay. So how that works is first you have to get the enemy summon itself, which some of the vendors will sell them, and you can also like find a few just running around. I think there's only like 2 or 3 in the network test itself.
Okay.
But how it works is if there is a specific like landmark that will indicate that you can summon in an area, you can summon them.
Mm-hmm.
And they cost MP, and you can only summon them once per like grace checkpoint, you know. So like even if you have enough MP to like, you know, summon them again, you won't be able to until you rest at a point because you've already summoned them. You know, if they die.
Yeah. So you can only do it at certain points.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Although I was expecting it to more be like, I don't know, maybe like summoning smaller groups like at all times. I don't know. I was expecting.
Yeah, it's not something you can do at any point. It has to be in like specific areas. Not every single area you'll be able to summon them.
Yeah, so you can't really do like a full summoning build like we were kind of theorizing.
Well, you can, but like not for every boss.
Okay.
It's not like an ultimate crutch. It's like it seems that you can summon them in like most tough areas, but like not every area, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's definitely something you would want to build towards, it seems. But I don't know what scale, like if there's any scaling behind it or anything.
I always thought a Dark Souls-esque game would be cool with like a Necromancer build.
Yeah, that's what we have.
But
I like them conceptually. I think it's really cool.
Oh yeah, I agree. I like honestly. I like everything I saw about this game. I really had no complaints. Because like it's exactly what I was expecting from it. it added some other things that I didn't expect, like the bonfire resting points, the grace points. I'll just start referring to them what they're actually called.
Yeah.
But the grace points, they're simple little things that I didn't expect in the game that were added, just like makes it perfect for me. Which even makes me more upset that I didn't get in the network pass.
Me too. I'm still upset.
Yeah, I was so pumped. I was like, it's gotta happen. It's gotta happen. But
well.
yeah,
Big sad.
it yeah, I'm
At least now I won't be spoiled when I play it in February.
Yep, February 25th is the date. Mark it in your calendars, people. You
So
better
before
buy
we, like,
this.
move on from the weapon arts and stuff, one last thing to note, importantly about them, is that equipping specific weapon arts is how you add specific scaling types to weapons.
Right. Okay. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, so instead of going to a blacksmith and attuning your weapon with them, now you just equip a weapon art.
Right.
And so when you equip a weapon art, it will give you the option. It's like to keep the standard scaling that it has at base, or to apply the new specific weapon art scaling. So, say for example, you want to put lightning scaling on your sword. In order to do that, you have to give it like a weapon art that gives it lightning scaling.
Okay.
Which means it will give you more variety and diversibility with your build at the cost of saying you have to use this specific weapon art, even if you don't really want to get the specific scaling and damage type you want.
Interesting.
So it has a slight downside because you're limited to what it is, but at the same time you can still choose exactly what scaling you want.
Yeah.
Now, can you
Like, for example, if
Go
you
ahead.
want to give like magic scaling on a weapon so that your mage plays build, you can use the weapon better and stuff and do magic damage with your sword, you'll have to give it like a weapon art that gives it magic scaling, which will usually be some kind of magic one, you know, like the one in the network test specifically was effectively the new version of homing soul mass, where it will spawn like 4 magic daggers that will fall around you
I
and
think
then
I did see
throw
that
at
one.
the enemy, you know, and doing that can let you put magic scaling and damage on your weapon. But you have to give up the base weapon art that
It
the weapon
has.
would already come with,
Right.
you know. And, you know, it might be better, the Art of War, better than the base, potentially, and it's up to the player to decide, which gives a lot of options and build variety, which I really like.
Yes, some weapon arts might be just good off the bat. They may not even need an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I highly doubt somebody's just going to do a playthrough in a base weapon with all these kind of weapons arts they're adding.
Oh, I mean, they're gonna want you experimenting
Yeah.
throughout the entire game.
But I think the best part about this is because whenever you like attune a weapon and like level it up at like a blacksmith, that's a massive investment. With this, it's as simple as going into the menu at the grace point and switching the thing. You
Yeah,
know,
it lets you experiment a lot more.
it lets you experiment a lot more, exactly, and it lets you like, you know, take a risk of trying things out and seeing which works. On top of that, it also is like there's not as much commitment, you know, so it's a bit of an offhand, because with like doing like attunements and stuff like that in like the older Souls games was kind of like a give and take, where it's
Right.
like, yes, putting making this weapon divine when you're doing a faith build, you know, like a faith strength build, and you got like a divine club or mace or whatever. It's like, yeah, that'll help you against enemies that are weak to magic, or undead enemies that are weak to the divine status. But it's like enemies that are resistant against magic, you're gonna, you know, do a lot worse against. So it's a give and take. And since it's a big commitment, you have to commit to that. You have to say, it's like, I am giving up this to have this. You know, I'm going to be doing more damage to these enemies at the cost of doing less damage to these, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
But with this, you know, if I can be like, oh, I'm using lightning scaling right now on my weapon, and this enemy is resistant to lightning scaling, let me just switch it back.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
gonna make it.
Yeah.
There's no real commitment to it.
Yeah, because like for instance, I love like the longsword build, and I always like I guarantee you my first playthrough is gonna be a similar build to my Dark Souls build. I'm gonna have a sword, like a regular long sword, with some sort of ice ability because I love the erythral straight sword from Dark Souls.
Right.
But it doesn't. The fact that I can put a weapon art on it now doesn't mean I have to switch my weapon entirely. I could just throw, let's say there's a tree enemy that I can fight. I can throw a fire weapon art on there instead of having an ice weapon art on it, and then I'll still be able to use. I'll still be able to use the weapon I like, but then it won't be like not effective against the enemy I need to fight at the given time. Which
it gives you a lot more flexibility to just swap your stuff on the fly to, you know, tackle whatever given challenge. And the only way you're gonna really have that challenge is if you be really stubborn and be like, no, I have to use this weapon art. I will not change it, even though it's like actively harming me, and I could easily very much just change it out for this one fight.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, I don't know if we saw this or it was revealed or anything, but you know, going back to the whole blacksmith thing, you know how you can add like I don't know if it's like an ingot or something to an item, and it like for instance, like
the reinforcing weapons and stuff is still in.
Okay, that's all I was asking.
Yeah, we don't see any blacksmith NPCs, but I know there was like a pop-up prompt saying it was like, you might find blacksmiths later on your adventure.
Right, like a little tip.
It's, you know, it's like we just haven't seen any blacksmith in the next word text, but I think like base refinement, like up to a certain point, can be just done at grace points with an item, or because there was like these little anvils that you can go to and upgrade your gear yourself. But I think to do it up to a certain point will require a blacksmith.
Right. And you know, I just adding on your point with the fact that most of the weapon leveling up and stuff can be done in the grace points now. It really, the fact that it's so open world, it takes away all that walking you would have to do to go to a blacksmith to do that every time you wanted to upgrade your weapon, and have more time to actually explore the world and do actual gameplay. And then
I'm
when
not 100% sure if you can upgrade your weapon at every grace point. I think you have to use like
it's probably certain
like an
grace
anvil.
Points. Yeah.
Well, there's like, because I remember like there was like an early grace point in like the destroyed church where you have an NPC merchant and then there's like an anvil next to the grace point. And the NPC merchant will sell you some gear, like he'll sell you a crafting kit and some summons and some other consumable items. And like a telescope, and then next to him is like an anvil you can use to upgrade your weapons.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like you can go upgrade your weapons at any grace point effectively by just warping back to that grace point, which I'm pretty sure you can warp anywhere in the overworld as long as you're not in a dungeon.
And I wouldn't be surprised if, to add on your point, if there's only like, given the area that the grace point's at, like let's say it's in the middle, like in a tower or something, and there's NPCs near the grace point, there may not be like an anvil at every grace point, but you know,
the thing is like, because there's fast traveling, you can just fast travel to the one that's at it, you know. If you ever need to do that. Fast travel back to wherever you were at, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
But to talk about the magic, because that's something we haven't really talked about at all.
Right.
Okay.
Faith seems to have a lot more offensive options than in the past. So Faith and Intelligence, I don't remember what the spells are called, but I'm pretty sure the Faith spells are no longer called miracles, they're now called incantations.
Okay.
And the fire, instead of having pyromancy as its own thing, it seems like fire has been put onto Faith now. So if you want to cast like fireball and stuff, you can. It's a miracle now. It's a Faith scaling one. And Faith seems a lot more based on dragons.
Yeah.
Like all the dragon spells and stuff, they're all like incantations. They're all Faith scaling.
Yeah, and then I think the highest, like there's certain elements, and like there's like tougher dragons, and then the higher level spells are like features of that dragon. So like the one fire one is dragon fire, and like
there's like a dragon war one.
Yep, and there's a Grail's roar,
Yeah, that's like the roar one.
Yeah. So like I like the fact that they, if you kill a dragon, you get like a specific thing to that dragon. I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if
I don't
it's
know if that'll
killing the dragon because I'm pretty sure one of those was just picked up off of like a corpse of like in a specific area.
I think the lore is going to be the dragons are gods because that's the faith build, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it seems that the dragons are faith based because the magic and intelligence stuff are now all astrology based. It seems like.
Well,
Yeah.
the Grail's roar. I don't mean to cut you off. It's the only way you can obtain it is from actually killing the flying dragon.
Oh, okay, so that's what you get for killing the dragon. Okay,
Yes.
because I know one of the starting classes starts in the network test specifically starts with the dragon breath incantation where it's the flamethrower one with
Right.
the big dragon head, but you can also find that one on like a corpse on the big island, and the way you get to the island is there's a cave mini dungeon, and if you go through that and you come out the other end of it, you'll end up on the island. And there's like a big dragon church there with like a corpse of a dragon, and like on a corpse on top of that, you can get the spell in the network test. And that's another thing. It's like a lot of the stuff in the network test probably won't be where they are in the base game. You know, I imagine a lot of that stuff will be replaced with other early game items because it seems like they put a lot of like later game items in the network test just to show them off,
Right.
and other specific early game items were intentionally removed, you know, and obviously adjustments and stuff. But yeah, all the magic is like, you know, star based.
Yeah, which is kind of neat.
The animations on it are super freaking cool too. Like the specific incantation, the flame of frenzy.
Oh yeah, that one. That one's the one where you shoot like laser flame lightning beams out of your eyes and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
And another thing to add with the incantations, it not only does it drain your mana, or stamina now, as well as your mana, it also you can only summon, I think, like there's a little bar. It's like almost like a poison meter, but you go insane.
Oh yeah.
The madness level.
Yeah, there was like I don't know what status it was specifically. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know
all the
what
status
exactly
effects.
it's called.
I think it might have been death because I know that's one of the new statuses is death, which is effectively just curse, but without the lasting effects of curse. You know, it just if it builds up, you die instantly. I'm assuming. One would assume. And so I think that was just for that incantation specifically. Is that's a penalty for it, kind of like the dung pies, Dark Souls 1.
Oh,
You
right.
throw them and it applies toxin to both you and the enemy.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's like that, where it's like by using that specific spell, it will also build up. It applies like a status on you. You know, which forces you to not spam it too much. Effectively.
Yes.
Yeah. So it probably mostly for PvP.
Yeah.
So
it's mostly like a balance thing. Yeah.
So people don't just stand on a rock throwing fireworks at you through their eyes.
Yeah.
Don't worry, they still be trying to do that.
Yeah. Really quick before we talk about the online stuff, let's talk about poise.
Okay.
Because that's one that's a bit up in the air and like a bit on debate on like how it's actually working. Because like, okay, so Iron Pineapple, his video explaining the stuff, he claimed that Dark Souls 1 poise appears to be back. But then I watched like the Silvermont's video, and he said that poise doesn't seem to be a stat in the game. And what he's meant by that was saying is just like, oh yeah, if it is there, then it seems to be done in the background because it's no listed stat. And I've looked at other people's images of the network test of the status screen and stuff, and Poise isn't listed there.
Okay.
But if you look at a screenshot from the gameplay trailer on the official Bandai Namco website, the one that they released a couple days before the network test happened, like about a week before, and you look at the status screen there, Poise is very much clearly listed as a stat.
Weird.
In a screenshot from them. So it really begs the question of what the fuck is going on with Poise.
Yeah, which came first? It's hard to tell. Like,
I wonder if they took out the
is there Poise? Because functionally there has to be some level of Poise. You know, it seems that there is, because from Iron Pineapple's testing, it's definitely there.
Yeah.
Because they were testing it out like in PvP of like, we wore the heavy armor set and he had a guy attack him with a weapon to see like if he would get staggered or not, and he wasn't. He would just be able to keep on running. Compared to when not wearing heavy armor, you know,
yeah,
he would get staggered.
I wouldn't be too surprised if it's just an invisible stat, or the network test just wasn't able to have it implemented yet. Well, probably one of the two.
Potentially. I think for some reason, I wouldn't be too surprised if the UI and stuff is just not finished.
Yeah.
Because that also happened with Dark Souls 3 network test, had placeholder UI.
Mm-hmm.
None of it was finished during the network test. And I wouldn't be too surprised at all if Elden Ring is doing a similar thing of none of the UI we've seen so far is finished, and Poise will be a listed stat in the final game, and it's just not like here now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's probably the most likely.
Yeah. And I kind of hope it's the case, because I really would like to see Dark Souls 1 Poise come back. Because Poise in 3 was just bad.
It was weird.
I think the problem with Dark Souls 1 Poise is entirely because the backstabs are broken in Dark Souls 1. But the backstabs in Elden Ring are not broken, because they're going off of the backstabs from 3, which also weren't broken.
Yeah.
So if you can have good Poise and unbroken backstabs, and it's just the best of both worlds, and you just get the good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
that
know?
would be great.
Which would be perfect.
It'd be very
Exactly.
fun.
If they manage to master both, then that's just adding to the list of many things that this game's doing right already.
Oh yeah. This game very much feels like the Souls equivalent of Thanos getting the final Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know?
This
It's
is
just like-
the gauntlet right here.
Oh, speaking of which, fucking power stancing from 2 is back.
How did that work in 2 again? I'm trying to remember.
And it's okay, so it's kind of complicated in 2, but to sum it up very simply, if you had like a specific like stat requirement, and you two-handed weapons of the same weapon type, then you would get a cool, unique two-handed weapon moveset for them.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that.
But it's better this time because you don't have the weird stat requirements where it required you to have like 1.5 like stats above. Now, as long as both the weapons you can wield, both weapons are in the same weapon type and they meet the stat requirements, you can now just dual wield them and have power stancing. And they have like a unique dual wield moveset.
Cool.
Which is awesome. They're literally the best feature in 2. The only good thing about 2. And they brought it back and made it better.
Yeah.
So like this game really does feel like Dark Souls 1 Poise. It's like, you know, horse combat, jumping and stealth from Sekiro, Dark Souls 2 power stancing. You know, it's like Dark Souls 3's refinement and stuff. It's like fucking, you know, really does feel like that to me.
Yeah, they're taking everything.
Yeah.
It's surreal.
Like it really does feel like a perfect game.
In terms of all the features they're having. I'm excited.
And it's not even finished yet.
Like I think it says a lot of confidence that despite the fact that they delayed it by a month, that they still went and had this network test, and everybody who's played it said it's amazing. It's one of the best games they've ever played. It's the most excited game, like, currently for them. You know?
Yeah.
I've been seeing a
And
lot of
like,
people who've never even played Dark Souls-esque games or Dark Souls at that, and they're playing
yeah,
this and they're like, "Whoa, this game is fun as shit."
I know Arlo made a video,
Oh,
and
wait, really?
Arlo got into the network test and made a video talking about how excited he is for it.
I,
Yeah,
I didn't know Arlo even owned a console that could play it.
yeah.
You know, that's the thing.
I think he got an Xbox for
Okay.
it, specifically for it.
I don't know if I'll play this at launch though, because I want like the full experience, like PS5 experience, but I don't have a PS5.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
don't want to just buy this on like PS4 or something and have to be like, bleh.
Yeah.
Maybe Black Chestnut will have to buy it, and then we'll have to watch him do a playthrough of it.
No, I gotta play it blind. I can't watch.
No, we have to watch him, so we all have a reaction to how amazing the
I
game
gotta,
is.
I gotta feel the game.
And then we can criticize Black Chestnut because he just needs to get good.
I'm already good. I'm not even gonna die on my first playthrough.
I'm gonna get died his first playthrough once.
Yeah. I'm gonna come up with some ultra super build. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, he's gonna be super tanky, but then actually traveling at the speed of light.
Oh, this game's
Yeah.
probably going to be more exploitable just with how much more variety there is and it being open world. There's probably going to be something like insanely exploitable. It's going to be hilarious.
But like speaking of like the network test coming out and it being awesome and stuff, I just really want to take a minute to tell everybody, like saying that, oh yeah, Elden Ring is gonna be the next Cyberpunk. Eat shit.
Eat
Yeah,
shit. I will
really?
second that. I will second
Yeah,
that.
it's like, oh, I'm so happy that this game is like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece and like is awesome. Like, I don't think I could be any happier with it, really. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even that the fact that it's perfect. It's exactly what everybody that was, at least us, me,
anybody with like, you know,
half a brain.
not like obscenely unrealistic expectations, like people I don't know. I feel like everybody's getting what they expected.
Exactly. It's exactly what they advertised.
And it's honestly embarrassing watching these people still try and make the argument that Elden Ring is going to be the next, you know, Cyberpunk and stuff. And it's like at this point they're just embarrassing themselves, you know.
Is there, how many people have you seen say that? Like,
I see
a lot. I see it all
I
over
see a ton.
that's
Like
crazy.
I'm not joking. I see like 15 of these people daily. You know, they might all be the same guy on different accounts.
You know what? It probably is.
But like,
Yeah, one guy's on a mission to take down the devs of Elden
they're
Ring.
all Titanic Doom posters. You know, that's what they are. Okay, so to explain this thing real quick, there's like a comic of like two dudes in a boat.
Okay.
And they go up to the Titanic and say, "Fuck you, Titanic, you suck, go sink." And then the Titanic sinks, and they're like, "Yo, that was awesome, let's do that again." And then they go up to like a yacht, and it's like, "Fuck you, yacht, you stink." And then they go up to like a speedboat and go, "Fuck you, you speedboat, sink." And then they go up to like a fishing boat, and it's like, "Fuck you, speedboat, go sink." And then the guys in the fishing boat tell them to go fuck off.
Okay.
You know, it's the point of the comic is it's like they got pure luck guessing like the bad thing would happen one time, and now they keep trying to recreate it despite the fact that there is no evidence that it will actually happen again, and that
Yeah.
they had any influence on it at all.
So yeah,
Because, you know, it's like, because they did guess right that Cyberpunk 2077 was going to be a disaster that didn't live up to the promises.
That happened because that game got delayed like for over like 10 years. That game.
Yeah.
that
But
game-
now
that's fair.
it's like, now there's a massive subset of people who keep doing that, you know, to like, and it's not even
to-
just Elden Ring. I've just seen it
just
the
to be
most
shitter.
with Elden Ring.
I do it with every game, not just even before Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
pardon
No,
my
no, I
French,
like,
but
Supposed to be
just
doomers.
it's just to be shitters. Like they're just trying to
oh, definitely 100%.
like, and it's just sad that you like
It's embarrassing, yeah.
when majority
It's
of the
more
internet,
so embarrassing because they keep like trying and then they're just like wrong.
exactly. It's just No,
Yeah.
stop. Just let the game be what it is. It's good. Just stop.
They think they're so cool with their Shazam images.
Right. They think they're so cool with their keyboards and their monitors.
Yeah.
But yeah, is anything else we want to touch on? I mean, there's so much to talk about. And the fact that it's not even finished yet just adds to the suspense of like this game needs to come out already.
Yeah.
So we got technically we have 3 months. 3 months and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not too long now.
Not too long at all. I mean, I'm sure pre-orders are gonna happen.
Pre-orders are already up. In
Oh,
fact,
yeah.
the special edition and stuff is up and available.
There we go. I might
I'm
pre-order.
chilling.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I always wait.
Special editions are really expensive. They're like cool, but they're like I'm like, it's not that cool that I need to have it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
Go to
definitely one.
Fan Gamer get their special editions for like $50. That come
Right.
with like all the same nice stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get Elden Ring on there, but you know, I'll get like Undertale or something.
What if
Yeah.
the special edition came with the Elden Ring?
What is the Elden Ring again? I forgot the lore already.
I don't know, but it was shattered by someone or something.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the second boss tells you to basically stop being delusional and you're gonna die right here.
Every
Yeah.
boss is like that.
Well, he
When you
directly
say the second boss, do you mean like Margaret, the
Yeah.
Fell?
Yep.
The Fellowman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's technically like the first main boss.
Oh.
He's like the first mandatory boss.
Oh. Okay. Got
Yeah.
you.
Like every boss up until that point is like an optional side boss, but he's like the first real boss.
Okay. Got it.
He's the guy who guards the first dungeon, like the
Which-
first legacy dungeon.
Yeah, if you guys take
Every
a peek,
other dungeon up until that point is just like an optional side dungeon.
yeah, he's guarding this picture we have up. He spawns on the tower with the torch right under it. He spawns right there and basically shit talks you, jumps down and is about to fuck you up pretty much.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool, honestly.
it's very cool.
he's a really-
I cannot wait to kick his shit in.
Like seriously, like his move set, very simple, but I like the fact that he like, what's the word I'm looking for? Summons these like weapons. Like he has like daggers and then a hammer and shit. But he also has his
Yeah.
main. He's kind of like, is he like a tree, almost?
He's like a tree dude.
Yeah, but it's like
He's
his
kind
main-
of like that one wizard, you know, from Lord of the Rings, where he's got like mushrooms and stuff growing out of his face.
Oh, yep. That's from The Hobbit. Yeah, I know exactly what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
hmm
But his main
he's kind
weapon,
of like that.
his main weapon is just like a giant root from like a tree.
Yeah, it's like a big tree stick. You know,
Yeah, that he sharpened, and he's just like,
it's not even sharpened. It's like a blunt weapon. He swings it around like it's a sword, but he's like using, but it's effectively just a club. It's really cool. I hope you get his sword.
Yeah,
His
that's
tree
gonna be
sword.
fun.
I really want to get that as a
like,
weapon.
it literally is. It looks like just a piece of trunk, like a tree trunk.
Yeah,
It's gonna be fun to wield and put a weapon art that makes you go fast with it on top, so you can dash
you
around
wouldn't
and
be able to like do something like that because if you got it, it would be it's a special weapon. It'd be
Yeah,
a boss weapon.
it's-
So
yeah, it's
it'd
not-
be tied.
Damn.
Yeah, I can imagine that's how it works because like it's not the same. It's not gonna be on the same standing as if like a regular longsword because a regular longsword is just a base, basic. Just
I
an
mean,
example. I wonder.
yeah.
I wonder if his moves, like his magic, I guess you can say, is separate from the weapon, or if that weapon like he has like
I wouldn't be too surprised if you get one or two of his spells as a spell yourself.
right.
Because like that's the thing is like in Dark Souls, you kill a boss, you get the boss soul, and then you could like use it and sometimes turn it into like magic or weapons. That would usually be this boss's specific weapon or like a spell specifically tied to the boss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wonder. I imagine that's gonna return in Elden Ring.
I don't see why they wouldn't return that feature.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Cause like the Abyss Watchers in Dark Souls 3, their weapon was freaking cool as shit.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, where
Their
you
weapon art
do,
was
like,
sick.
flip
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
The
I would have
Artorias
been
fan club.
yeah, I
It's
would have
so
been I would have been so pissed if I could not use their weapon.
Mhm.
But they definitely yeah, this just looking at the picture of like technically the first dungeon, this is it right here what we got up on the stream. Looks freaking sick, man.
Yeah. I cannot wait to play it. I'm
This
still
picture doesn't
mad
even
I
do
didn't
it
get in the
justice.
network test.
Right.
um,
happens.
but
Take
real quick, before we move on, specifically tied to the network test and stuff, it was locked off to like a specifically relatively small part of the map.
Hmm.
But I know a few people were able to break out of the boundaries,
Of course.
and like clip through the wall that blocked you out of the rest of the world, and were able to explore and stuff a bit of the rest of the world. I know one of them was able to find like a boss gate that they couldn't enter. 'Cause the only way to get past it was through an invasion specific glitch where they
Mhm.
would spawn you on the outside when you invaded somebody
Yeah.
in an area where it's supposed to be in. So they found the boss gate door, but they don't know what's behind it,
Yeah.
And then there was another one where they clipped outside of the map in this one spot. And I think they were able to explore a lot more of the map. And there was just like, mostly environmental stuff. And I think there might have been one boss or something that they found as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't really know. I didn't see all of it. I only watched bits of it.
yeah. So we haven't seen anything too fancy, but
Yeah.
still, some neat
So
toe
it
stuff.
seems very exciting.
Oh.
On a quick side note, GTA needs to take some notes because if you look at if you look at this picture, fog can go a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like fog.
Look at the fog to this picture just adds so much character to it. It's like if you look at it without the fog, it's just gonna be a basic ass castle.
True.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, like if there was no crows, no fog, and maybe no skybox, it would just be some plain ass castle. But those three elements to the picture and to the game itself and gameplay wise, it adds so much character to it.
Fancy.
I'd rather sacrifice field of view for quality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So,
Anyway,
Rockstar, take
Oh.
notes. Anyways, continue.
is there anything else you guys want to say about Elden Ring?
I don't know if I really have anything else.
Yeah,
We've gone over all the stuff.
I've definitely touched on everything that I want to say. There was a couple things probably like 20 minutes ago that I was forgetting about, but Black Chestnut you guys already pretty much said what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we covered almost everything.
Yeah, there's
the most
definitely
part.
maybe a couple. Maybe
Actually,
some
we didn't
minor
really
things.
talk about the online.
Oh yeah, actually yeah. Let's
Yeah.
finish off with that because we didn't really talk about that at
Yeah.
all. Let's finish off with
Um,
that.
So how evasions seem to be working currently, and I know From Software has said in the past that they are not like 100% done with the online, the netcode, like how the invasion system will work, and that they're open to community feedback and stuff. And that was a big part of why they wanted to do the network tests and stuff to get people's feedback specifically on how invasions should work in this new game.
Yes.
So that if people are like, hey, please change it this and this ways, they're still open to changing it. So everything we're about to say very much could and potentially change. They're still listening to feedback and taking that into account.
Mhm.
So with that being said, how invasions seem to work currently is you can only invade people who already have a co-op partner in the world, unless the person who wants to be invaded uses a specific item. Then
Yes.
that's effectively like like the dried finger from like Dark Souls 1. They'll effectively let you get solo invaded stuff.
I understand why they're not having solo invading like that, so you don't just get like invaded while you're just trying to explore. But at the same time, I wish there was maybe slightly Because it was like using like 2 items to get solo invaded, more like.
Yeah,
So
I think it
I feel like
was.
there's a bit too many like hoops to jump through at the moment.
Yes. And I get why, because like it would be really, really annoying if you kept getting constantly solo invaded and stuff and getting thrown off your horse while
Yeah.
exploring. Because that's the thing. You're not allowed to use your horse when you're on co-op, and you're not allowed to use your horse during like PvP,
Yes.
invasions. So if you got invaded, you'd get thrown off your horse,
Mhm.
And that would be really annoying if you're just trying to explore the world and you kept getting invaded and thrown off your horse. And then have to
Yes.
go find the invader and kill them or get killed by them, which is even more annoying.
I think it'd be fine if they let invaders invade you while you're in like a mini dungeon.
I honestly think that might be worse.
Really? Because that's
Yeah.
not like to knock you off your horse.
I feel like it would
I
be
don't know.
worse.
That would just kind of feel like invading Dark
Because the
Souls.
mini dungeons don't seem to be crazy long. They seem fairly short. And at the same time it's like, how likely is it that someone is gonna be there to invade you there, potentially not there. But I will say it seems like fight clubs
Fight clubs are
specifically,
back.
yeah, they seem to be a lot more easy to do.
Wow, Black Chestnut. Really?
What?
You really just violated the first fucking rule, dude.
Oh,
We
oh
do.
well.
First rule of Fight Club, we do not talk about Fight Club.
We're recording ourselves talk about Fight Club. That's a loophole.
Anyway, because because in this there's like these things called summoning pools. There's these little structures that are called summoning pools, and you can place your summoning signs and stuff in the summoning pools.
Mm-hmm.
So you can place your invasion and co-op sign like stuff down there, and then you can go do fight clubs much more easily because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can
So-
still place them if you want to place your summon sun in a goofy spot.
Yeah.
Like in the top of a tower where nobody's gonna go.
But that one guy is gonna find it and summon you, and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and he's just gonna
Yeah.
be.
The
He's just gonna.
internet's gonna give out.
He's just gonna wave at me, and then we're not gonna do anything.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Although, one final thing really to note about PvP invasions and stuff is that there's this item that are given to invaders when they invade.
Mhm.
That how it works is because when you're invading another player, you are like warped into like a random point in like an area because it's a big open world.
Yeah,
So
you're kind of
um,
near them. When you
yeah,
first
it's
spawn.
like near-ish to them, but not like that close. You still have to go and hunt them down and find them.
Mhm.
But the location of the host will always show up on your compass, so you can track them down that way. Which means invaders do have an element of surprise in the sense that they get to sneak up and stuff on the host.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that'll be definitely interesting.
But on top of that, they get this item that when used, you get like 10 uses of it, will warp you like to
Near.
a new spot near them.
Yeah, in case they run off or get far
Yes,
away.
the idea is like if you're having too much trouble finding them, you can use that to like effectively reset the invasion and get warped closer to them potentially. Or if you get spotted early on and they're chasing you down, you can run away from them to up to a certain point and then pop that really quickly because it's fairly quick and it effectively just makes you disappear on their end.
Yeah.
It's
So-
not like it's not necessarily a get out of jail free card, but if you have enough ground on them, it is.
Yeah. So
Because if they're too close, they will just stun lock you and kill you.
I think that's fine because if invaders are typically going to be going up against co-op players, they're already at a pretty big disadvantage. So I think this is a fine
Yeah.
trade-off.
And I understand people's like issues with the co-op going up against invaders, and I can understand the opposite at the same time because it's like person invading is more likely than not going to be a lot better at PvP than the person getting invaded. You know?
Yeah, I suppose.
Like, I definitely remember times where I was like getting invaded by like people doing cheesy PvP builds and stuff, in Dark Souls 1 and stuff.
Mhm.
When I was on doing like a goofy, shitty PvE build specifically designed to be like a challenge run, you know?
Yeah,
You know, I was doing my shitty like whip only mage build or something like that, you know? Or I was
yeah.
doing my miracle build where I only use daggers and crossbows and healing miracles, you know?
Win that one. Or did you?
I don't think I bothered to finish that one. I definitely started it though. Oh, that's another thing I want them to do in this game. Make crossbows fucking good.
But bows look a lot better. So,
Definitely. They definitely look a lot stronger, but I want crossbows to be good too.
okay.
There's no excuse to not have them be good. It's
True.
like it's just because they're so bad. They're so worthless on every level.
Yeah.
It's like unless you're using the really really strong one with the most like ultra expensive exploding bolts, it's like not going to do you any good.
Yeah. Right. I can't ever remember the cross. Like I remember like what there's like the huge one in 3, which is kind of funny. Like it's not good, but it's you can do goofy stuff with it. Or was that the bow? I can't remember if it was a bow or a crossbow in 3.
I don't remember. I know
Either
there was
way.
the repeating crossbow that you get from killing the final DLC boss.
Either way, bows and crossbows were both kind of useless compared to magic.
Yeah.
Like,
The only way to make a crossbow even somewhat viable in Dark Souls 1 is to use the one crossbow you get in the Duke's Archives, like the Avalon, the one that shoots like 3 or 4 bolts at a time.
either way, even if you're
And then
using
equip
that,
it with like the exploding bolts. And then even that is like only like kind of decent if you have using it as like a sidearm.
yeah, and if you're using a crossbow, you're likely probably going to be like doing a dex build, so you're just better off using a few pyromancies.
Yeah. Well, actually, crossbows don't have any scaling at all.
Oh, do they not? Huh.
Yeah, they don't have any scaling. That's like their main thing, is they have no scaling. And they actually have most of them have surprisingly high strength requirements.
Yeah.
Like you'd
Huh.
think with how kind of ass they are, with in that they do no damage, have no scaling, there's no way to make them really stronger instead of
Mhm.
upgrading them. Even if you upgrade them, they still kind of suck. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always felt like bows and crossbows were really underpowered.
Yeah. I mean, you can argue that bows aren't even underpowered because I did a bow build in like Dark Souls 1 and stuff. And I was surprised by how good it was actually. Like you can just cheese so many encounters with the range.
Oh, yeah,
The
I
fact that
know.
you have actual aiming on top of that, it's like better than magic and stuff. Because
Yeah.
you're never gonna really run out of arrows in a bow build, provided you just buy max arrows. You know, you'll never run out. Unlike magic, where you're very limited and you have to still get in lock on range in order to hit them, you don't have to do that with bow builds. And on top of that, since they just scale dex, there isn't like a ton of level investments like magic has, where you have to level like intelligence and like attunement and stuff just to get like one magic spell effectively. With
Yeah.
bows, it's just like you level raw dex and then you have a shit ton of damage. And since you're running dex, you can just use any dex scaling weapon, you know,
Yeah.
on top along with it. And then you just double up with both bows and that.
Yeah, I get you.
Mhm.
But either way, they look a lot faster in this game, so you could use them outside
Definitely.
of like cheesy sniping builds.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna run a bow build at least once. I just can't wait for this game to come out. Spend like 100 hours on my first playthrough and then play through it 7 more times. You know?
It's gonna be fun.
But yeah, you guys want to wrap it up then?
I can already predict that this game is gonna end up on my 3x3 when it comes out.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, thank you everybody who was watching today. Make sure to go check out our other platforms. We post all of our previous podcasts on YouTube. We also
Yep.
let our Twitter know when we're going live, and we also have a TikTok that's actually pretty decent. We're gonna start posting some little mini highlight reels up there. But if you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure to go check out our Twitch. We stream every Sunday from around 8 or 9 for about a couple hours.
But more importantly, please like and subscribe.
Yes, please. I was just
It's-
about to get to that. It really means a
Yeah.
lot. We have a new logo coming very soon, so
Yeah, within the next
next
week
couple
or so.
Yeah, next week or so.
Fancy.
Yeah, we'll have our nice suit and tie on finally.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for everybody watching. Have a great night.
Bye bye.